Hello, folks. Welcome to Cloud Farming in Detroit, a pilot radio show about arts, economics, technology, and culture for WAKT 106.1 FM Public Radio in Toledo, Ohio. My name is Terry Burton. I will be your host for today. We are here at the Georgia Street Community Collective located on 8902 Vinton. Is that right? Yes. Okay. All right. On the east side of Detroit, Michigan. We have a variety of guests and topics scheduled for today. On Sunday, this is Sunday, May 22nd, 2016. First on the list, we have Mark Covington, an urban farmer and founder of Georgia Street Community Collective. Then we'll follow that up with a conversation about art with Carl Goins. I just learned how to say his name recently. Artist and one of the founding members of the 555 Gallery and Arts Organization, Brian Tillman. Detroit artist James H. Dozier, Detroit artist and art critic. Closing with interviews with Faith Hope, singer and creator of Sunnywares, James Robert Warpup of the Cafe Alex and Citadel Initiative. And also, we have a very special guest, Aurora Harris. She'll be here doing some poetry and talking to us about water and her activism and whatever she does. But let us not forget our house band, Josh Stokes. He's going to get down on the sound. So let's have him take it away.
Dog's got a new day, bitches got a new bite. Catch her in the day, and she be in and out the moonlight. Every dog has got a new day. You can have it your way at the BK. Where do you go? What do you know about that?
All right, all right. So, first on our list is Mark Covington. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Tell me about the Georgia Street Collective. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm born and raised here on the east side of Detroit on Georgia Street, and I kind of got the bug, I guess, for redeveloping our neighborhood through urban farming. After I lost my job in 2007, and I had to move back to Georgia Street with my grandmother and my mother. And I saw some vacant lots that were dumped on with a bunch of garbage, and that's something I had never seen before in our neighborhood, and I wanted to clean them up. And I decided to clean them up, and thought about if I cleaned them up, they were going to dump on them again. So I came up with planting some food. And then some of our elders, came out and saw what we were doing, and they said that it would be good for them because they were struggling to pay for some of their medications over food, at certain times of the month.
You are also a board member of Grown in Detroit?
Keep Growing Detroit.
Keep Growing Detroit.
Yeah.
And, tell us a little bit about that. We know that you're a board member. You're working on, if I remember correctly through my research, animal husbandry?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, would you care to educate us about that?
Yeah, founding member of Keep Growing Detroit, founding board member of Keep Growing Detroit. It houses the garden research program. There's about 1,500 farms, family gardens, and school market gardens in the city of Detroit. And they give resources for the gardens like plants and seeds and educational classes, compost, wood chips, and different hubs host those resources in tool bank.
And so, I'm curious from reading about the animal husbandry thing. Where is that at? I mean, exactly. I know what you're doing there, but that's what I'm interested in because I see a lot of that stuff in the news.
Yeah.
So
we're real close.
I think that is something that is timely. As far as like getting the word out about that.
Yeah. Well, we're real close. I've been on a committee for almost 2 years now. And right now we're waiting on a couple of processes from MDART and a couple other things with the city to finally present it to City Council for a vote.
Do you know when that's going to go up for a vote?
It's hard to say because we had a timeline it's supposed to be in March and then April, so hopefully by the end of the summer.
End of the summer. And who else is working on that?
It's a few different urban farmers.
Would you care to name some of those farmers?
No, because I don't. A lot of people are not as open as I am.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we want to be courteous of that. So you keep goats, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about goats, so.
It's not hard.
I mean, so like, what do you have to milk them every day, or what?
Yeah.
Or you have to feed them every day? I mean, what's that like?
Yeah. Feed, milk when they're in milk. That's probably the hardest part about it is because they have to have babies to be able to be in milk because if they don't, they'll dry up. Certain breeds. Milking and feeding every day.
How many acres do you have here? How much land do you have here?
We have less than an acre.
Less than
between all the properties that we run.
So I have a question. If you'd be willing to entertain it, like, how many acres do you think urban farmers should take on?
That's a good question. It depends. I guess it depends on the amount of help they have, what they're trying to do.
What's your capacity?
I'm at my limit.
Yeah, and your limit is okay. So you have the goats,
acre, so
less than an acre, and how many people?
Day-to-day operations is two.
Two.
My mother and myself.
And how many hours do you think you put in? During the week.
I don't count. Cause
it's a labor of love.
If I count, I might stop.
Well, another thing that I just throw out there. I mean, I know this is kind of like stream of consciousness, but I found this program about D-Town dollars. I remember I was talking to you about D-Town dollars, and do you do something like that where you exchange currency of local currency for what you're doing? I mean, I know that's like I've heard a lot about that around Detroit, different ways of compensating people for, their labor or trading because of, what they call aggregation.
Yeah, we don't do that, but we get a nice amount of volunteers that come in, but we do kind of share. We have a small apiary, so we share honey. Mm-hmm. We barter honey with other places.
Ooh,
and sell
barter.
Honey.
I like that word. What do you barter for with the honey?
Some of everything. Soaps, lotions.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes food. We also get eggs from our chickens.
So how much of honey do you barter a year? Like 1,000, 2,000?
I don't know. I'm not that technical, so
okay.
I don't.
Right. Me either. Sometimes I have my bad days and good days. Oh well. What other questions should we jump into today? What do you want to talk about? What other things do you think is important in Detroit, urban farming? Gentrification seems to be like a hot word. I'm sure that's going to pop up in the art conversation. But do you look at urban farming as gentrification, or I'm going to keep on rattling off until something hits here.
I don't. I mean, I think it's room for everybody. So,
And this word displacement. Do you think that how can urban gardeners work to help help in not making a situation where you're displacing people, because property values go up, that whole thing, that whole story, or do you think it has something to do with like some of the bartering that you're doing here, creating alternative economies? I think that personally, from my reading, it seems like a good way to go, to help people out.
Well, we know that that would probably be mostly in the neighborhoods, but I from the beginning when I started, I used to say that I would like to see a garden on every block so people can be able to grow their own food. But I'm not trying to say that I want to see Detroit turn into a farm. But I think there are certain areas that can handle it, like our neighborhood, because we have a lot of vacant lots.
How many farmers, how much land should we farm here, Detroit?
Again, we have a lot of space, and I know that there's development that needs to happen.
Okay.
And I know even with the ordinance, there's certain, some neighborhoods people are not going to be able to keep chickens and goats because of the size of the lot and the size of the houses. They don't have enough space, to have them. So, so it's hard to say how many, But I mean, you can be a farmer on a lot. I mean, when you say farmer, it doesn't necessarily mean you keep animals. So if you got a garden in your backyard, technically you're a farmer.
All right. They say it's like 40 square miles, but I heard that a revision of that to 20. Actually, it was like more like 20, 25.
Square miles of
20 to 30 square miles, I think.
Of what?
Of vacant land. That, which I was doing for fun, because I'm a nerd. I was crunching the numbers on that, and it seems like you could give, there's plenty of room for, farming to, and also this word that I like, scale, because looking at that without taking too much away, because it's your time on the mic, and I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but this idea of scale, do you have any ideas of your scale that you'd like to meet? Or you said you're at capacity, but do you want to build on that scale that you already have?
Yeah, I would like to have a couple of greenhouses here. But even with that 25 square miles of empty space, we need more people here. So
in the neighborhood.
In neighborhoods, yeah. So I wouldn't say that whole 25 square miles of empty space should be farms. It should be more houses, more apartment buildings so people can move back into the city.
So do you think houses bring people? Or
well,
do you...
jobs too, but
okay.
But I don't see. Here we go. Let's go.
All right, yeah, let's get into it.
So,
all right.
We have enough space for industry already.
Okay.
My idea, if I was a city planner, is to make these corporations that's coming back to the city repurpose the industrial space that we already have, so they don't expand on virgin land, which
so build on what's already there.
Yeah. So we have, even in this neighborhood, they want to turn it into, they have potential development plans to turn it into industrial land.
So like some type of, I don't want to say tax, but more of a sharing type of neighborhood sharing program, with corporations. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
Or you're saying,
we'll be bought out, moved out, and...
The companies, the
the neighbors, and the residents that live here now will be bought out, moved out, and industrial zoning would be a part of this neighborhood.
So you want industrial zoning here?
I don't want it.
No. This is what's happening. Okay, I got you. Yeah. Okay, all right, we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
So you want to prevent that from happening?
Yes.
So
my idea would be that we would still have spaces like this in the neighborhood, but there would be some spaces that would be more commercial and residential still. If the developer is going to come in, let them come in and build some houses instead of, Chrysler or whoever. So
what should we build? You're saying houses, gardens,
parks.
How do we do something with the jobs thing?
Well, that's what
the job question, or the business question.
Because if you look at it, a lot of the new industrial that's coming in, they're getting a lot of tax breaks. So part of the tax break should be that they repurpose old industrial sites. There's a lot of, even in this neighborhood, we have a lot of industrial sites where they need to clean them up, tear them down, and rebuild on those industrial sites.
I have to think about that. Anything else? Do you like the music that we're playing today?
I love it. And thank you for
are you going to stick around? Did you want to hop in on the art conversation with, I kind of view gardening as art or aesthetically pleasing. So if you want to,
I'll let the experts handle that.
All right. Yeah, okay. All right. This is Cloud Farming in Detroit. Your host today is Terry Burton. This is WAKT 106.1 FM Public Radio in Toledo, Ohio. So we're going to have Josh Stokes get down on some sound here.
Everybody.
Are you having fun yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All day, every day.
That's
This
awesome.
is dedicated to you guys at doing the urban farming.
All right. Thank you.
Chick a chick. How you gonna get down to Georgia? How you gonna get down to Georgia? Boxcars are full of rock cold, so boxcars are full of root cold. Shuck in the cold. Ain't done a thing since the day you were born. Lay in the shade all day, so shuck in the cold. Who's gonna meet you at the station? Who's gonna meet you at the station. My baby in a bottle of wine, Joe. Baby in a bottle, ooh, wine. Shook in the cone, shook in the cone. Ain't done a thing since the day urban farming was born. Come on to Detroit now, boys. Start shucking cone. Soaking down, fellow man. Ain't done a thing to fill your frying pan. So better shut your mouth, boy. Instead of shucking a cone. Better shut your mouth. Instead of shucking the cone, yeah. Instead of shut your mouth. Instead of shucking the cone, oh, yeah. Ooh, oh.
Hello, hello. This is Cloud Farming in Detroit, hosted by Terry Burton. We're going to dive into the art conversation. We have some folks here today, and Carl Goins. How are you doing, Carl?
Very well, thank you.
He's from the 555 Gallery. He's an artist, and I'm pretty sure we'll get into more of what he's all about. And then we have James H. Dozier, right?
Yes. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not bad.
Every few days I receive a text message from you about all the happenings in Detroit. Would you care to enlighten us with the?
Yes, I started doing this process of sending out information that I'm aware of cultural events to all those who are interested, because unfortunately, our local mass media outlets do a very poor job of covering the arts. And I decided that need to be remedied. So I started sending information out either by direct text, by email, or by Facebook to anyone who's interested. And the only thing I ask is when they receive the information, they forward it on to anyone else. Thereby, we can propagate the information throughout our community and thereby reduce our reliance on the mass media who have little interest in covering our art community.
Okay. I'm going to move on to Bryant Tillman, but hold that thought. So we have Bryant Tillman here. Tillman?
How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for showing up today. Please tell us about yourself. We got James H. Dozier, art critic, artist.
Well, artist, art critic, collector, someone who's very passionate about art and culture.
And I met you guys all through probably the 555, right?
Yes,
4731 here.
Our life
about
in
10
the
years
trenches.
Ago. The life in the trenches. All right. So since I got you here, we have to talk about something. So,
Sure thing.
I read this article about can artists do anything to help Detroit? It was artsy editorial. www.artsy.net. Did you guys get a chance to look at that, or
I did read it. Fortunately, I would want to explore it more,
Okay.
but it wasn't able to in the time constraints.
Well, we'll just. Do you mind if we riff off the prompt?
No,
here?
not at all.
So, what can artists do to help Detroit? Did you want? Could we start with Carl and
Yes.
kind of work our way
What
down?
can they do? Well, I mean, I think participating in as many happenings as possible, whether it's the small scale grassroots community activities to development projects in the city, to have artists at the table in some shape or form, I think would be beneficial to everybody in the development future of the city.
You said you were going to the Gallipolis thing with the Commonwealth thing?
I didn't make it to that open house, no, but I did hear about its proposed model for incentivizing renting in a space that is increasing in value every day that passes in what's now being called Corktown neighborhood.
Corktown.
Yeah.
Sounds like Funky Town. Okay.
It is.
Okay, we should move on from there to James H. Dozier. I'm going to get something to drink here. Does anybody want something to drink?
Yeah, I have some
Okay.
delicious
Water?
H2O.
Yeah, let's go.
Moon mist.
All right, that's good? That's good. All right. Everybody's topped
Yeah.
off on the...
One little bit. Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
Hopped up on caffeine. Hopefully it... Okay. So what are your thoughts,
On
James?
I think artists could improve our cultural community. One, through public art projects, through interacting with our Detroit public school system, through interacting with various art community organizations, so that people realize that art is not something elitist or apart from them. That's an integral part of their life and should be of their life. One of the manifestations I'm glad to see of such efforts is like the murals that you see appearing in the Eastern Market that has enriched that environment, and I think have made people more aware how it can be such a way of improving a area. There's the Grand River Creative Corridor project, where it's also murals. And then, of course, in Southwest Detroit, there are a number of murals. And one of the things is that psychologically, the environment that you live in does impact one. And the more visually enriched that environment is, the more stimulating and thereby the greater the benefit a person will derive from that. If you go through a blighted neighborhood, one reason why it may look depressive is because it's a shambles. If you go through neighborhoods where you see engaging art, engaging design, beautifully landscaped areas, it serves to enrich one visually and stimulate the mind. So artists can play a key role, and are playing a key role in that in Detroit, but we can always use
Is that
more.
gentrification?
No, it's not gentrification. It's
I'm kind of messing with you, man. But,
it's psychological.
You won't let up, will you?
Cultural.
Enrichment. Do something here. We can't just.
Oh boy.
No. See, the thing I'll make a quick comment. Gentrification to me is a positive thing. The thing is that, however, is whether or not one has prepared oneself for gentrification.
Okay.
The problem is that in some instances, there are people who have not prepared themselves for it. And,
how does one prepare themselves for?
Well, one, when you see the inklings of improvements being made into where you're at, one of the things one should try to do is to become a stakeholder in that community.
I like that word, stakeholder.
Own the property that you're at. If that can't be done, then prepare yourself so that if you do have to make a move, you can move as an empowered person. You can move elsewhere where you will be able to become a stakeholder. But the purpose in our particular community of why we must have gentrification is that we are bankrupt. The city has to increase its tax base. And through that increased tax revenue, then you can start addressing the other issues that people want to address. But if you don't have the tax revenue, the city can't do it.
I'm going to add into this conversation. I read another article here. It was buying a share of Detroit's revitalization by Next City. So it's nextcity.org is where I got this. By Anna Clark. January 27th, 2016. But anyways, the idea here is to give people a stake in the development and of their neighborhood through a share type of thing. The Gallipolis is that type of model.
Mm-hmm.
I had conversations with Carl about this. Seems like that's a hot topic.
It could be a viable strategy for that becoming that stakeholder.
Can you give me,
and
You agree with that, Brian?
can you give me a quick rundown on the Galapagos?
Do you know much about this?
Well, I don't
Galap?
know that I know much more than what's been written in paper.
Well, let's hear that.
But basically, that folks, artists, creative entrepreneurs that are interested can rent space in the Galapagos building that they purchased a couple years ago in Corktown, Southwest Detroit area.
Mm-hmm.
With the idea that they're renting space for a committed time period, 10 years, I believe, is the premise that at that time Galapagos will refinance their mortgage basically with the new assessed value of the building 10
Mm-hmm.
years from now, which will probably greatly increase over that time period, and a share will go back a portion based on time spent there, square footage, I think, of your rented space. You will end up with a cash back.
A share of something.
Actual cash that you could then use to finance your own purchase of a property, with the idea that Galapagos would also be a part of those next steps to help you move forward in your own invested property.
Is there a working model of that? An example?
I'm not sure that there is. I think that it's certainly not in Detroit that I'm aware of. I think that it's probably exists elsewhere, and that's not an entirely new idea. I think
It sounds like something where
potential.
I'm going to get one of those started, then expand franchise style to other spaces. Could it work like that? Is it potential?
Well, this is here. This just came in. What is it? Robert Elms,
Yep.
right? Mm-hmm. Commonwealth Detroit. You can reach him at robert@commonwealthdetroit.com. So I'm guessing that's www.commonwealthdetroit.com if you want to hear more about that. But it says here, the Commonwealth Detroit will be LEED certified. I know you're a construction guy, Carl. What is LEED certified?
The
mean?
actual letters, it's basically is meeting as many sustainable energy requirements as possible. So, little heat loss, good heating, cooling system, windows that are energy efficient, all that kind of stuff that makes it a healthier, so to speak, building, I think.
Well, it says right here, it says, here's the general gist of everything right here. At the end of 10 years, we're going to divide 20% of the building's increase in value, prorate that amount to your square footage, and give it to you for your own down payment. It's that simple. Everybody kind of chuckled at that. You don't believe that?
Well,
It's not.
Well, obviously, there's a certain assumption that's being made. Like any investment, hopefully it will grow and like he hopes, but there's no guarantee.
That's why I asked for any working model or example of something proposed.
I mean, I think his, the assumption is based on something that he has real-world evidence of the value of the building being appraised at 12 times its purchase price. Most recently, shows that it will increase, and all likelihood of that community value increasing is extremely high at this point. I mean, it's a point of development in Southwest Detroit and Detroit that is booming right now. Real estate is just skyrocketing there. I think it's a weird. It's a strange game that artists have to play to be a part of that. I think that we're scrounging for property to have a stake as artists, as organizations. It's not our mission as artists to be worried about real estate and development and becoming developers ourselves or competing with developers.
So you said that's not our,
I don't not as,
traditional
as artists. I think that being a part of those conversations that's that formula. That's the gentrification. That's why it becomes a conversation for us as artists. Is that we're a part of that process in various ways. aware or not, we're still a part of it.
Well, I kind of look at artist as an artisan, like a craftsperson. And when you think of that, I think of like, production or small scale production.
Yeah,
and also I think of the types of skill sets that I find here, with Detroit artists. I mean, they're very entrepreneurial. The cities are very entrepreneurial for me. That's my humble opinion. There's a lot of, Detroit hustles harder, right? So I know you laugh at that. I would like to add to that, Detroit hustles smarter too, like not just hard, but then also smarter too. And that's what we're, I think that's something that artists can kind of add to the culture in real time.
Well,
actually,
we've gone through one complete cycle.
What's a cycle?
A cycle is where we.
I'm saying what is the cycle? Like what are the dates?
Where we were when the problem first arose as a community, and what we did to solve it, and the secondary and tertiary blowback that comes after the solution. We had a problem, I say a decade ago. We dealt with the problem and retained a certain plateau of success, at least to the point where we're known all over the country and the planet for what we are as an artist community. Then the money came in, and to our surprise, Dozier touched on it, a number of us simply was not strategically positioned or even educated to take our place within that structure. It's the infrastructure that didn't have us in mind as far as the aftermath. It's like we opened the door for economic influx as a utility, and it looks like because of our general economic standing, a social standing, we were susceptible to being what's a good word for it? We argued about that. Sidelined, undermined, not undermined.
The okie dokie.
Yeah, okie dokie. Thanks a lot.
Okie dokie. All right. That's what my mother would say, anyways.
Yeah,
okie dokie on us.
See, one of the things as artists, I think we have to somewhat change our thinking. We have to start thinking, I think, somewhat along the lines of entrepreneurs, those who realize in order to have a say and to be more of a determinant as to your destiny, you have to start becoming stakeholders. You have to start investing. A lot of artists, for example, are looking for studio space, but they need to start thinking not renting studio space, but owning the studio space. Like, for example...
What do you think about that, Carl? You're kind of quiet over there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the direction that 555 is trying to go in, actually, in terms of, as an organization, be able to acquire a space that could be really fantastic art space, but finding a way for individual artists to own their space in a cooperative manner so that there is that shared benefit of ownership, and there's not a concern about the uncertainties of rent rising and being squeezed out in some shape, some way. So.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm not sure it's being overlooked, maybe it's not being as well publicized, but one of the areas that I would recommend artists look at is a lot of these older homes, especially some of the larger homes, may make excellent artist studios, as well as art galleries. And it wasn't that long ago, I was at the house of a gallerist who moved here from Miami. He opened up a gallery originally over on Philadelphia Street. Closed that, went back to Miami. Now he's back here with his wife. They are rehabbing a house in southwest Detroit, and in the front part of the house is going to be their gallery, and they're going to live in it. And that gives them that means they're stakeholders. But they also have a gallery that's going to be functional. And more artists, when you look at the availability of a lot of these old homes and the prices they are at, you can acquire one of those and not only have it as your studio, but also as your living space. And you can even form cooperatives or collectives.
Hey, James, Aurora Harris wants to jump in on this conversation here.
Oh, yes.
So, I'm hearing some common threads here of entrepreneurship, gentrification. Carl seems like he's halfway into the artist as entrepreneur type of thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think diversifying how we support ourselves, that's
right.
what artists,
that's always
arts
a
part
chore
do.
for artists,
Yeah.
No, it's
traditional
a part of being an artist.
Right, okay.
Once you say I'm an artist and you say I want to earn my livelihood through my art, that means there's an entrepreneurial aspect that you have to master to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that I remember talking to you about, James, and then I wanted to let Aurora chime in, so we're having equal space here as much as possible. You were talking about coordinating gallery openings. I think that's something in real time. Boots on the ground. Like I look at my Facebook feed and there's like 25 different things. Like, how can you go to 25 different things? How can people know about 25 different things? How can people network with 25 different things going on? And mathematically, in my mind, some type of coordination, cooperation seems prudent.
It's not only is it prudent, I think,
and that's what you've been kind of saying.
I'm
right?
a strong advocate of that because. Unlike big cities like New York or Chicago, we don't have concentrated areas where you have a number of galleries. We're spread out. So I'm an advocate of the galleries, particularly if they're in the same area, to do coordinated openings and also do openings that are longer than 2 or 3 hours. The reason being, when you have a number of galleries, because we're spread out and you're picking such short hours, means that people are essentially rushing into the gallery and rushing out. And considering that 95 to 100% of the people coming to the opening come opening day, and therefore little to no traffic after it, all of that work is for that one day essentially. And to me, it serves the artist better, and it would serve the venue better if they did the longer hours, because then all of the galleries in that area could share that crowd. To give you an example, when I went to Chicago, in one of their art districts, all the galleries there did simultaneous openings. And the gallery owners I talked to said they drew 5,000 people for that one night alone.
Wow.
And the next art district, the following day, they did their openings.
So we need to aggregate art openings.
We need to synchronize the time so that the galleries in a certain zone all do, say, an opening from 6 to 11, or better yet, 6 to 12. That gives people ample time to spend at each gallery and not rush in and rush out.
What happened was some of the independent galleries would run like, say, a liberal amount of hours, like from 6 to midnight, and that would give patrons a chance to set up their own little schedule and meet each of the galleries, then have a nightcap at the gallery of their choice.
I'm going to pivot on that because Aurora Harris had something here, poet to activist, educator. If you wanted to give us a slight introduction.
I'm Aurora Harris, and I'm a poet. I'm a member of Broadside Lotus Press, the oldest African-American poetry publishing house in Detroit. We're in our 50th year. We just had our 50th year last year. And I have been very involved on various levels of community building around the city, and serving on various arts boards and being an advocate for artists. What I wanted to say was that when it was mentioned about artists coming together and buying property, one of the things that is not mentioned is the fact that when artists have come together in the past to buy property, there aren't enough funding sources, or the banks will not give the artists the loans to buy them. I know this for a fact because I was involved on the west side getting an art space together. And because that particular art space drew other businesses into the community or the area, and it started growing, I was in a position from a government perspective to be able to work with state officials that dealt with housing and building acquisition and access to funds and all this other stuff, where I could have at the time just picked any building in any part of the city and had the backup to refurbish the building for artists, because it was, looked at as artists are valuable here. We do produce things that can be sold, that can, generate funding and contribute to the economy here. However, due to a bad business decision and some deals that went down, I lost that opportunity. And I had to back out of the art space that I created. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that, like I said, we have to look at it at the total population here. So when we talk about gentrification, I mean, it could be good on some aspects, but on the other aspect, the other thing that's not being talked about is what is the existing population that is here that have been trying to do all these wonderful ideas to improve neighborhoods, become stakeholders, sell their art, become entrepreneurs and whatever, and they're just not getting the attention and they're not getting the money, and a lot of the artists are being exploited. Or have been exploited.
Could you expand on the exploitation aspect of the artist?
Well, they may have conferences that have called in the past, conferences that have called all the artists in the city together, from, visual artists to poets to techno people and whatever, and they were trying to bring, the state was trying to bring people together under this program called Cool Cities, and people came together. And they said that money was going to be available, and only certain people or certain individuals were able to get the funding for various projects, and a lot of the artists were left out, so they dropped out. So there was, there's a lot of this, artists coming together and trying to work together and trying to build coalitions all over the city. Were made promises, and then when it comes down to it, the promises don't always come through.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, the doctrine of cool cities, I believe it originated with Richard Florida, like 2 decades ago, and it seems like there's a duplicitous agenda in there. Where
I like that word, duplicitous.
And where the artist it's not for the artist's benefit. It doesn't seem to be. It looks like it's for the advantage of the urban developers, the career developers, who work in like concentric circles. First the inner city, then the near suburbs, then out the suburbs, then you come back in to refurbish the inner cities, then go back out again in the unending cycle. And sometimes whatever it takes to bring in the investment or the interest, they will utilize. I don't know what it is out in the suburbs, but in Cass Quarter, the strength of the revitalization was the people themselves as well as the arts community. And when we had these people coming in, they came in, wanted to adapt, they wanted to absorb the inner flavor of what was Detroit as far as the arts and even the people in it. But what happened was when he brought in the money, then he brought in their own cultural irrelevancies, the tattoo parlors, one block too many. Certain emporiums that deal with merchandising that the average hipster can't afford.
Right.
And then I'm not going to mention this one emporium, but it happened to displace a neighborhood supermarket that's been there for over 2 generations. And he placed it with an emporium that serves no local utility whatsoever. I think the Wi-Fi is good.
So, yeah, okay. So it seems like, we ventured into the problem,
We're not in control of our success.
Okay, so I like to be positive.
Me too.
What can we do? What do we want to do about it?
Well, at this point in Midtown, unless you are a wealthy investor, there's very little you can do now. It's too late. There are some who had the vision who did make it, like the owner of Gallery Camille, Richard Bennett, who years ago saw that inkling that I mentioned earlier and realized, make the move, become a stakeholder.
Okay.
Now, what has happened is, unless you have substantial resources, it's too late. That doesn't mean, it's too late to still benefit, but you have to realize you got to move away from downtown. There are still a lot of...
So go to the neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods
they need you.
Are still underlooked. There are a lot of available opportunities, but you have to make the move.
So I'm going to pivot to...
And let me add one other thing to that. One of the other things that people have to realize they have to do, you have to empower yourself economically. You must stop transferring your wealth to somebody else. Start practicing living below your means and build your self-empowerment. That's one of the critical keys.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of tell our listeners what they're doing here. This is Cloud Farming in Detroit, a pilot radio show about art, economics, technology, and culture for WAKT 106.1 FM public radio in Toledo, Ohio. And we have two people who joined us here. I like the name, was it Faith Hope? Yes. With a beautiful smile. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself here, and also, before you get into that, we have another person here. Is it James? Robert? Warpup. Jim Warpup. All right, from the Citadel. Yes. So first, we'll, if you could give a brief introduction, and then we'll jump to Jimmy. All right, we'll jump to Jimmy here. And then we can all kind of chime in and do some jazz music here. I kind of switch some things up. So thanks for, you first?
Yeah, like you said, my name is Faith Hope. That is my actual first and middle name. A lot of people think that's like a stage name or something like that. I don't know where to start. I am into a lot of things. It's good to jump into the art. I am an artist. I've been an artist my whole life. Traditional art as well as music, and I now find myself kind of combining the two. I'm not from Detroit, so I don't share in all of the passion.
Where are you from?
What you guys are talking about? I'm from Pontiac. However,
that's a suburb, right? No?
Let's just say metropolitan.
That's
from
like
Detroit.
Light.
A lot of people used to say Pontiac was like a mini Detroit in a sense, but and with that being said, a lot of similarities have happened as far as the decline with businesses and just a lot of what you guys, we're talking about. So I do share in a little bit of that. But I own two businesses myself out of Pontiac. It's really good to just see people that are passionate about the same things and definitely understand the common unity aspect of what community really means.
So Faith Hope, you consider yourself an artist. What can we do about it? That's my question. We all know it's horrible. We're sinking on the ship. I don't. Some could definitely. That perspective varies depending who you are, depending if you're what do they say, the 1%, 99%, 10%, 15%. I don't know.
Right.
So we have all these talented, beautiful, fantastic people here. How can we feed the cloud? It's one of the.
Well, I guess community is the key word, because what I find a lot in my city and in my area locally is that everybody is kind of doing their own thing. Everybody has their own solutions. And I personally work, one of my businesses is called M3, Marketing, Management, and Merchandising for Small Businesses. And I've helped Pontiac probably for about 6 to 7 years with trying to get people on the same page instead of kind of doing their own thing. And I understand, though, they feel sheltered. They want to protect themselves, their art, their business, their ideas, their concepts, everything like that, and have a hard time letting people in. But if you can just get those like-minded people together who understand that we can do more together than separately, that's just like the foundation.
Well, we have Jimmy here. What, are you like-minded in this type of conversation? It seems like you're with the Citadel Initiative. What does that mean?
The Citadel Initiative is a for-profit aid organization designed to end homelessness. It's a way to increase the profitability of labor at its lowest.
Aggregate entrepreneurs. That's kind of like
entrepreneurship. Yeah, it's our motto is fighting poverty with profit through aggregate entrepreneurship.
What does that mean?
It means that instead of one person buying a building and going into business, let's say as a coffee shop, which is what I'm working on, you get 10 people to go in, and one guy does the coffee, the other guy does the bakery, the other guy does the whatever else needs to be done. And you take that and you put it on a community level so that the whole community is doing that kind of thing. And what it does is it makes it so that labor on the very bottom of the economy, and I mean the very bottom, I mean like things like don't do drugs this afternoon. Simple things can become profitable because the people around you make them profitable.
So culture kind of ties into the whole thing.
Well, no. I've sort of ignored culture. Poverty is a money problem.
What's that?
Poverty is a money problem.
Okay.
It comes down to the way money works. And the Citadel is designed to change the way money works on the lowest level of the economy.
So do you consider what you do creative?
I do. Right. Writing the theory, writing the idea was a very creative process. It took me a very long time.
So you're a writer?
Yeah.
Okay. Aurora's a writer. Brian Tillman's a writer?
I wrote.
Right? Yeah.
It's just that what I write about is mostly economics.
I write. I do it right, okay, at night. So I talked to you on the phone. I came across you on Facebook, randomly, just called you out of the blue. I thought it was pretty exciting to see someone aggregating entrepreneurs, because I like that word, aggregation. And that means that, you're using resources efficiently, and that's kind of like what you're saying, use it efficiently and also use that for profit. You were talking about generating profit. We were talking about, this equation that you said that you had that most people wouldn't understand. It was in your literature about the velocity of money.
The equation is money times its velocity is equal.
Yeah, keep going. Do it.
The quantity of money in an economy times its velocity is equal to the aggregate price level times its yield.
Wow.
It's a common economic equation that the Federal Reserve uses to manipulate money in the economy. And what the Federal Reserve does is they modify. So the equation comes out to MV equals PY. The Federal Reserve modifies M in an attempt to increase Y, which works out to GDP. What we'll do is modify V, the velocity of money, in an effort to change the ratio of P to Y, so that instead of businesses making profit within a small community, people will make profit.
Okay. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
So anybody have any thoughts on that? The velocity of money?
You were talking about that artist.
Yeah.
A group of artists getting together. They had some financial problems. Could you say that again, please?
The group of artists?
One group could there was financing available. Yeah. Certain people got the financing.
Certain people could get the financing and other people could not.
That kind of thing is what we're designed to address. We would aggregate you. We would put you all into one pile and make it so that there was only one person asking for the money. So either that person got it, that the entire group got it, or they didn't. You wouldn't have some people making out and other people not, which would work very well for an artist collective kind of thing.
So with that said, you mind if we take a break here, and then do you guys want to keep jamming on this conversation? Is this fun? No? Are you having fun?
No,
okay.
To me it's...
No, yes.
No, it is, because
okay.
I think it's important.
So as a matter of format, I'm going to read the call thing, because I got to do that thing to make sure people know what they're doing here. So we're going to talk. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. It's a public radio station, so we just got to make sure that they're like, oh, we're listening to radio instead of just some stream of consciousness and stuff. But that's it. Cool. So, hello, folks. This is Cloud Farming in Detroit, a pilot radio show about art, economics, technology, and culture for WAKT 106.1 FM public radio in Toledo, Ohio. So we're going to have Josh come in and play some music and...
There's a harvest sometime in spring where the one I always loved just drags me in, calling on a dinner bell and the dust bones early cold, sold out of the season, stuck inside an hourglass and fold.
All right. That was Josh Stokes and Faith Hope. You give me hope. So we left off with what can artists do for Detroit. I wanted to kind of like give some stage time, microphone time to Faith Hope and Jimmy from the Citadel. Is there anything you'd like to add about your personal endeavors, what you've heard here today, or I don't know if you want to read a poem? You know, we got about 5 minutes. I want to make sure you guys get enough time.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I do agree with what was said about the neighborhoods. I got a chance to work with Motor City Match. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that program.
The Motor City Match program as well.
Awesome. I did. I was a recipient. It was months ago.
You won?
I did.
How much did you win?
Well, it was actually I was at the very first tier, so it was the Get Ready Award.
$2.
No, it's a good award.
It really is. It really is. They I really like the process. They really literally hold your hand through the process. At any point in time in the business you can apply. And so I applied because I wanted, the resources and the help. I was looking to kind of come out of Pontiac because Pontiac doesn't have those incentive programs for businesses anymore. Oh. And so I applied for my baking business actually. And Get Ready, they gave you $1,000 toward technical support.
Okay, $1,000.
So pay a lawyer for you or whatever.
Different things that you might need. And so they specified a lot about the businesses, and the mayor did talk a lot.
Did you get to meet the mayor?
Yes, we did.
You did? Did you go out for tea?
No, we didn't.
I heard he was out in Brightmoor. He went and visited Brightmoor.
Motor City Match is in Brightmoor quite a bit.
Really?
So is Tech Down SWAT City program.
Wow. Okay.
They're bringing a lot of money into Brightmoor. They're doing really good things over there. In fact, Motor City Coffee, which is in Brightmoor, is sort of the model that I use for my coffee shop.
Really? And what is that model?
Well, Motor City Coffee is working with Blightbusters, so they've got adjacent spaces. And when Motor City Coffee opens up, they open up the Blightbusters space so that you can move in, and their reasoning is to facilitate collaboration between the community organizations that meet in the coffee shop and Blightbusters. And they've really made some big difference over in Brightmoor with those programs. They've really done a really great job in Brightmoor.
Wow, you did a good job at explaining that. So if there's not anything else, I was going to open up the table to all these fantastic people here. Bryant Tillman, artist. James H. Dozier, artist, right?
Yes.
And I don't want to label you too much, but Carl Goins. I just remembered how to, I just learned how to say his name. I've known him for about 10 years now, known of him, and it's like, I thought it was Goins.
No, that's
it is. Okay. I thought it was like Goins or something like that. Goins. Okay. And okay, so we have Carl Goins, 555, right? Artist. Aurora Harris. Since we talked about Faith Hope, thank you for singing background with Josh Stokes. Thanks, Jimmy, for being here. You're awesome. I wanted to ask a few questions of Aurora Harris about what I think is very important press here in Detroit, the Broadside Lotus Press. Could you please educate us? I know that you're a teacher, so I'm just going to sit back and go, and you can tell me, to take notes and see if I'm paying attention or something. Okay.
Broadside Lotus Press was started in 1965 by Dudley Randall. Dudley Randall was a poet and a librarian, and during the Black Arts movement, the Black Power movement in the United States, publishing houses would not publish poetry by African Americans, so Dudley Randall started his press. So many of the well-known African American poets, such as Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Etheridge Knight, Haki Madhubuti, who was formerly Don Lee, who grew up in the North End.
What about Langston Hughes?
Detroit.
I heard he was there. No?
Nope, not
No,
a Broadside
too
poet.
bad.
But most of them, and Audre Lorde, could not get published. We even published Gwendolyn Brooks as well.
Wow.
So
heavy hitters.
Yes, so many of them who could not get published by mainstream publishers and larger presses came to Broadside. And last year, we finalized our merger with the second largest poetry house in Detroit, which is Lotus Press. So we're now known as Broadside Lotus Press. The other poetry house that came out of someone from Detroit is Third World Press out of Chicago.
I never heard of Third World.
Yeah, Third World Press was started by Haki Madhubuti, who I said was a Detroiter here. But he originally published with Broadside, and like the self-determination and independence that Dudley Randall has set a model for in terms of publishing African-American writers. And he went to, while he was in Chicago, he entered into a poetry contest, and the money that he won, he started Third World Press. And so while we at Broadside Lotus Press mainly publish poets, Third World Press publishes more academic writers.
And what's the difference
poets.
between academic and...
Well, more like articles and books dealing with African-American life and education.
So like essays and
things like that,
okay.
Yes.
That's amazing. Do you think that a lot of the art, do people know this about this Broadside Lotus Press? Is that popular? Because I just became aware of it.
There's many people here in Detroit that are aware of it.
What about outside of Detroit?
Outside of Detroit as well. We have a large collection of books. We have over 5,000 titles, and some of our collection is housed in various universities around the United States. U of M has some of our collection. Wayne State has some of our collection. I think the University of Baltimore has some of our collection. And we're in the process. We just recently won a grant from the Knight Foundation to digitize all of our early chapbooks. So we are in the process of working with U of M in Ann Arbor to digitize all the titles that we have.
Anything else we should know about Broadside Lotus Press?
Yes. From September through April, we have a poetry series called the Broadside Lotus Press Poets Theater, and we run it at the University of Detroit Mercy at 3 o'clock every third Sunday of the month. And occasionally we'll have workshops during the summer. We've had retreats in Idlewild. Some of our publications have been Poets in the House, which is a collection of poetry by the poets that were teachers that worked as poets in residence during summer programs with the Detroit Public Library and those students. We have A Different Image, which is a Michigan Award winner. My book, Solitude of Five Black Moons, which won the Penn Oakland Award for excellence in poetry. And we have the Idlewild historical book, Homecoming, which has poetry in it and interviews of the residents of Idlewild, Michigan, which is a historical African-American resort.
Vacation spot. I want to go on vacation. I need to go on vacation right now.
Yep, and we're currently releasing our books through Wayne State University Press.
Amazing. I'm so glad I met you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we should do some more talking about what are our topics again? I'm messing with you. Can artists do anything to help Detroit? Well, it seems like, one of the reasons why I wanted to invite Aurora Harris, publishing's a big deal, it's kind of cool that we're here on the radio with WAKT 106.1 FM. That's a form of publishing, right? Mm-hmm. So, where did we leave off? We left off with Jimmy. Jimmy, we were talking about, I guess the conversation morphed into, like the gentrification, the economics, the art. What are the connections in all this? We're all sitting here. We have different viewpoints. What are the things that connect us?
There aren't enough connections.
How do we make those connections? I want to connect. I don't know. I don't want to connect too much, but just enough.
What would be too much?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
What?
Umbilical?
Umbilical, right. I know Faith does a lot of the sunny wears. Right?
Everybody or
I was born in the lab.
Yeah, I mean, because I hear that. It's a recurring theme, like connections. Like, is it just we had to like tie up our shoes, buckle our belts, and just do it? Or is it something like what James was saying, like, have some coordination, and if part of that coordination, do you have Aurora's phone number so you can put that on the Dozier feed, for the arts thing?
Well, yeah, when she has events,
great.
If I'm aware of them, and I ask people if they, particularly if you post on Facebook, or you can also send me by email, but I prefer Facebook because of the volume of email that I get. I may miss it. But with Facebook, they have the event listings separately, so it's a lot easier to track those. And then I will put it in my arts calendar and also post it in the events on Facebook, because the main thing is to disseminate the information to get it out there. And because more people, that's how they get their information, is from the internet. And which is why I'm an advocate of, as much as possible, that our arts community visually document what they're doing and post that on the internet.
Yes, that's what the press was doing.
So much of the information now, particularly the generation, I would say 35 or younger.
That would be me.
To get most of their information. If they don't see you there, they figure you're culturally dead, so they're not interested in coming. And some prime examples how communities use it. I mean, if you go like to New York, tons of information on what's happening there culturally. Chicago, a lot. So we can do the same thing. That's one thing nice about technology. It can enable you to have a far greater presence than you could in the past.
So we have technology, we have buildings. So I'm going to go to Carl. I'm going to put Carl on the spot. What do we do with the building? What do we do with that big building? You sold, what was it, some type of painting? I mean, it was in the news, so I figured I could say something about it.
Sure, we sold a wall that had a graffiti on it by a very well-known artist, or thought to be his work, Banksy. We put that sale dollars into owning or paying off the debt on a building we own here in Detroit for the nonprofit that I run, 555 Arts. That building, plans for that building in the future is 30,000 square feet of cooperatively owned artist space, meaning artists have actual ownership over their space, ownership in some possibly shares of the building itself. something that would be similar to what Galapagos is talking about doing and sharing in the
Are you going to do more than 20%?
I think
I want more than 20%.
Yeah, the ownership being it's a nonprofit cooperative. You own your space. There's an investment that goes into it, whether it's a sweat equity or real dollars formula. That's still to be determined and how that could all work out. But to try to make it as accessible on as many levels as possible, from access to workshop space like a wood shop, ceramics, foundry space that is really just not accessible unless you're in, have access to an academic setting, a university or industrial space. So for artists, but also on a community level, we're not far from here in Detroit as well. So.
Jimmy, yeah, let's do it.
So it sounds like you're doing some sales, you're doing some various kinds of market interaction with your company. Why did you pick a nonprofit structure?
Well, we started as a group of artists essentially coming together, like a lot of folks have talked about in the past. We saw that as a loose group of cooperatively working, we really needed a format, a structure that would allow us to apply for grants that would make us more fundable, so to speak, for our bigger visions of creating an art space and having an affordable art space. The nonprofit model made sense, and it's for us that essentially we want to support the arts in the most we felt like holistic way, I guess would be the best way to put it, a way that it's benefiting us as individual artists, but we're also able to share the benefits of what we're able to obtain with space or resources, whether it's providing a space for somebody to work or a space for somebody to exhibit, perform, teach, come and learn, that whatever it may be.
All of those things sound like
fit.
Profit to me.
Well, I think that over the years, the line of nonprofit versus profit has become very fuzzy, and how to generate revenue. What makes sense as a nonprofit. I think ultimately what we're doing as a nonprofit is, we're supporting, we're giving back greater than what we're actually bringing in financially. It's what we give back is not tangible dollars. It's resources and opportunities for us. So, I don't know that fits in the typical for-profit model in a real way, but I think there's ways to make more of a hybrid nonprofit that might be able to combine services and for-profit things that could be cooperatively owned as well, whether it's a foundry space or a community cafe, like things you're talking about, possibly. That's my spiel.
Anybody else want to chime in? Faith, Hope, you got something over here? You got? Oh, you do.
No, just
you
listening.
Do. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I think you had something over there.
But just a thought on connections. What I did think was, I think that because I don't know if I heard it or read it about it's a such thing as too much networking, and I never understood what that meant. Ooh. But I think that maybe that was perceived or thought because it's more so about what you do after the fact. I mean, I can meet you, shake your hand, tell you who I am, what I do. I can listen to what you do, exchange information. But after that is what's more important. What we do with the connection that we make, because I go to so many events, meet so many people and all the things that I do, but are we actually coming together and doing things after that fact? We say that we're on the same page and we have this community and we're like-minded, but then it's more so in the action.
With that said, I like that. There's an article that I kind of passed around here. It was on Wired, www.wired.com. Dunbar number kicked my and Facebook friends experiment. And it talks about kind of what you're talking about. Like, this guy actually went through 150 people and tried to facilitate relationships with them, and tells about his exploits. It's written by Rick Lax. So if you're ever there, it says Dunbar's number kicked my, I don't know how you would say that.
ASS.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, can we spell things out?
That is radio allowable.
Okay, we can spell things out. I was just trying to be PG.
You can say the word ass on the radio, I think is what he's saying.
Oh, you can say like donkey's ass? Okay, that's cool. That's right. I kicked a donkey's ass? Okay. That's awesome. I'm just learning the rules to this thing. But, okay, so Dunbar's number kicked my ass in Facebook Friends experiment. So if you ever on Wired, check that out. It was written, I think, in 2012. Anybody have burnout and connecting? Too much connecting?
Yes.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
All the time.
So is it so much about the connecting, or is it the, because I think of, in an economic sense, transaction costs. When you are connecting, are you exchanging valuable information to then, perpetuate things forward, or do people know about what you need? Like an assessment, like, what does James need? What does Bryant need? What does Carl need? I know that there's this. Are
you talking about general marketing?
Well, not so much general marketing.
Other art spaces.
I went on this Facebook page called, Alt Ag. There's some stickers over there, and I guess the basic idea is to think about things and how people are trading or transacting on a day-to-day basis, and just be aware of that. To say, hey, like how much resource did it take all of us to get here? Just for this meeting to happen, for us to record, all this equipment. So, in every event, being able to account for that, and also that's an economy. There's still, we didn't even really exchange any money, but we exchanged all types of stuff here. Things of value, right? That's an economy. So, that's one of my thoughts about the Dunbar's number. It's with technology, you're able to post the things that you need and want to trade. And then also, I think that's where publishing would come in. How do people know about it? And it's easier than ever to publish things. You can do podcasts, you can do your own, print publication. I heard about this newspaperclub.com. You can go out there and publish, do a short run publication, and
there's a big difference between publishing and being read, though.
Well, yes, and but that's also part of the transaction. Like, how many people here have their information, with them and exchanging it? Like, here's my download. Take it. That's what I'm about. I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, I know it seems kind of. That's just one thought. Because individually, I had to do research, but it's easier to do research when I'm on Facebook and I can. It's all there in the feed, and I can watch the news per se. I look at it as that's news. It's probably better news than, say, the regular, the nightly news report, coming from so and so and doing such and such. Can I say the A word? No, I'm saying, like coming from such and so, giving you some canned package stuff. So, it's just one idea that I want to throw out there is like, how are you participating in, like kind of your alternative economy, or do you have an alternative economy, or does that even make sense, or because I think that when you don't have money, you would have to trade. You can trade an economy doing this.
I use an alternative economy to produce my breakfast every morning.
Okay.
The Citadel it's an alternative economy.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
that's on where? Warren Street and on the east side?
The coffee shop is on Warren. The Citadel is it's actually on Golden Gate in Highland Park, which is just north of 7 Mile on Woodward. I'm sorry, just north of 6 Mile on Woodward.
What's the cross street?
Golden Gate is the cross street. It's Golden Gate and Woodward.
Dr. Bob.
Yeah, Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob's a good friend of mine. He runs the Psychedelic Healing Shack right at that corner. And his organization and another organization called the United Intentional Organization are the two organizations that I work with in that community, along with the Citadel, which is...
Well, it seems like our time is up. We're at about an hour and 30 minutes here. We're going to rock out to some music. I hate to cut it short, but always leave them wanting more, right? So, yes, this is Cloud Farming in Detroit, a pilot radio show about art, economics, technology, culture for WAKT 106.1 FM public radio in Toledo. And we are going to just rock out the last few minutes here. And thank you, Brian Tillman, James Dozier, Carl Goings, Aurora Harris, Faith Hope. I love that name.
Thank you.
Can I trade you? You don't want to do that transaction, okay? And Jimmy, or it's James, right?
My name is James Robert Warp. I'm literally Jim Bob.
And I'm just going to do a quick plug since you didn't get as much mic time. So what was it? Can you plug something?
CitizenInitiative.com.
Well, let's just go around the thing. Let's plug your stuff. All right. And while he's playing some music in the background, plug it.
Well, I have a YouTube channel called Sunny Wares, SUNNYWARES, and then my business, The Treat Table, Facebook.com/treats on the table.
All right.
Broadside Lotus Press can be found on Facebook. We have a website on the internet, and we're also on Twitter. That's Broadside Lotus Press.
555arts.org. Find us. What's happening there on Facebook as well.
Thank you. And James?
James Dozier. If you're interested in arts and culture in Metro Detroit, you can friend me on Facebook, James H. Dozier. That's DOZIER.
I'm Brian Tillman. I'm managing curator at 4731 Gallery on 4731 Grand River in Detroit.
All right. Thank you. And can you take us away, man?
Yep.
All right, thanks. Josh Stokes.
She started to write on those bold ties, trying to go where nobody knows. And she started to burn. She gave me time, oh, baby, I wanted to learn. A cup of coffee, yeah. He tried to help me play my brain, yeah. I told the devil, get aboard me, yeah. My heart's so evil, say, yeah. That's actually called a hi-hat in my business. I don't have a drum kit, so I got it's wood block.
Excellent job.
That was sweet, dude. Thanks for all your help, man. Everything was real smooth. Get it well.